I honestly almost missed out on Meta Monday builds this week, simply because of how busy I've been with the last week and a half. With apocalymon being full power for the next 2.5 weeks, honestly the question came down to what decks would be viable in this little window. While there are quite a few options that can counter apocalymon, Bukamon is also saying goodbye to us at 4 in March. With that in mind, this was my starting point. BT15 introduces a slew of new cards thanks to LM1, and with that makes it possible to build a fully powered Jellymon deck. Hilariously, minus the mental trainings and Ace Zudomon, the remainder of the deck is relatively cheap. While also true, this deck can be somewhat aggressive, the moment apocalymon begins trashing cards off the top of your deck, that puts you on a clock for a deck out. Luckily, with cards like AMPHIMON and AMPHIMON Ace, you have many viable ways to return cards to the bottom of your deck 3 at a time to prevent deck out. Without further ado, let's look at this silly build. Bukamon is your level 2 of course, given that it provides inheritable jamming as long as your opponent controls no Digimon with equal or more Digivolution cards than you do. So if no Digimon is in play, yep, that also counts. For your level 3s, this line is almost strictly all Jellymon save for one single floodgate. Madoki-Betamon is a one-of, simply because there may come a time when Garurumon decks might be going full memory gains, but in a meta where Deathclaw is going to be rampant, I just couldn't justify putting this to 2. Jellymon on the other hand offers you a slew of amazing effects and inheritables. One that start of main draws you a card and has a when attacking effect that's not once per turn that draws you another card assuming you have 7 or fewer cards. A searcher on play that off the top 3 cards adds 1 Kiyoshiro Higashi Miturai and a card with Jellymon in its name. And lastly, 4 with Evade and a when attacking effect that trashes the bottom Digivolution card. For sure you could omit the Madoki-Betamon altogether and just run 12 rookies and bump up your mental trainings, but that's the only change I'd recommend. Level 4s, you run all teslajellymons, 2 from BT9 that trash 2 cards in your hand to unsuspend this Digimon. Although its stat line is low, with Bukamon it can be deadly early game. 4 for giving you battle protection with the same inheritable as its LM counterpart, and 4 from RB1 for the when Digivolving effect of playing Kiyoshiro if you don't have him in play, along with the equally same inheritable as its RB1 counterpart of gaining memory when you trash a card in your hand. A lot of these effects are super simple, and fairly consistent with most archetype-based decks. But when you move to level 5s, this is where you can be a little tricky. With Zudomon Ace, you can blast Digivolve to strip important inheritables when they attack, and then potentially bounce their Digimon. But for your thetismons, the main goal is to have inheritables that let you unsuspend your Digimon when you attack or trash a card. But for their standalone when Digivolving effects, you may trash up to 2 cards to either unsuspend one of your Digimon and or one of your Kiyoshiro and game blocker, or trash 1 card under your opponent's Digimon or Tamers for each card you trashed and stun a Digimon without sources from suspending. Personally, I wasn't a fan of BT10's thetismon, but it's another viable option. AMPHIMON Ace is going to be one of the big hitters of the LM series and lets you trash up to 4 blue cards in your hand. As a result, you can trash up to 4 cards and then target the same number of sources you trashed under your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, then return 1 Digimon without Digivolution sources to your opponent's hand. Unfortunately, this would bounce apocalymon back to hand, allowing them to easily play it again. But of the level 6s, this is the aggressor as you can return 3 cards with Jellymon and their text from trash to the bottom to gain security attack +1. But you'll be taxed for memory if this card leaves play. RB1 on the other hand provides similar when Digivolving effects but only does up to 2 cards and bottom decks a Digimon with no sources. But if you can somehow get both of them out, this one provides protection against deletion based effects or battle. But the coup de grace of this deck for the counter meta strategy is going to be Omnimon Merciful Mode. This Digimon can easily deal with apocalymon and can also make their trash not a trash anymore for abuse. While true, your Digimon will lose the protection once you go into this, if you survive a turn, you'll trash a security as well. And while you could run defensive option cards, this deck draws a lot of cards that drawing into them won't be as effective. Instead, your strategy is to focus on an aggro strategy and find your pieces as quickly as possible. Mental trainings can find your Tamers and Digimon while also bottom decking Merciful Mode. But because your search range is only 2 cards, it's less likely to happen. With Blue Memory Boost, this is more likely to happen, but for the delay of extra memory, that will be nice. As for Kiyoshiro, this deck focuses strictly on the memory fixer for the fact that your jamming comes from Bukamon. Strengths and weakness wise, I feel this is a deck that can deal with the apocalymon meta for 2 weeks, considering you can constantly bottom deck cards in order to keep yourself afloat. And while apocalymon players may argue that you could block, depending on how the effects are stacked, you might be unable to suspend to even trigger that blocker keyword. But overall, I won't be going over too much with the combos because there's just too many scenarios to consider. As you attack, you might set up that attack trap with Zudomon Ace to bounce their Digimon back. Maybe they attack again, allowing you to Ace Digivolve into AMPHIMON. Just remember that when the card leaves play, it's going to be one heck of a memory refund. Generally speaking, do you think AMPHIMON has a chance in the upcoming format, or do you think this Digimon missed his chance with the release window? Personally, my belief right now is come March 1st, this deck won't be as easily played, because Bukamon played a very crucial part. Let me know your thoughts on this deck, and I'll catch you tomorrow on my BT15 case review, where honestly, I can say BT15 is the worst set ever released in the Digimon trading card game. This Digi-Panda, logging out.